Hello, I'm Major Steward from the 9th Mission Support Command, Theater Support Group. I'm here to discuss the Department of Logistics, Supply and Services, and Installation Property. This briefing is unclassified. This briefing is not approved by Public Affairs Office, which is our public relations, so it can be taken down at any moment. So if I offend anyone, please notify me, or you can let somebody know and we will take it down immediately. The 9th Mission Support Command is the command over the Pacific area, which includes Hawaii Islands, Alaska, Korea, Japan, America Samoa, and Guam. We control all of the United States reserves in that region. What we'll be covering today is the Department of Logistics, Supply and Services, as well as installation property. The 9th MSC is trying to start rejuvenating the logistics on installation property, and supply and services. And the things that we cover for supply services is transportation, as well as food services. Installation property is a collective property book that the units share on an installation inside a facility. These items are not classified as organizational property. Installation property falls under the unit supply at the national level, AR 710-2. What exactly is installation property? What defines it? The Army regulation states that installation property is property that does not deploy and does not go to the field. Here are a few examples of what installation property is. Installation property consists of printers, monitors, laptops, desktops that is basically commonly used inside the area of responsibility. It covers as well as TVs, shredders, commonly used items, but it's not associated with MTO items. MTO items is typically related to things that is associated with one's TDA or their actual MTO, according to FMS Web, which is basically for force structure. Those things are authorized for a unit to deploy or to use on a field problem. You wouldn't take this printer to the field with you, nor if a person decides to take the laptop to the field, that means it should be considered as organizational property. That type of property can go to the field freely. MDTF kits would most likely be considered installation property because it should be stuck in one location. That is, unless a unit decides that it needs to take it to the field. Now, should it be decided to whether the unit commander takes it to the field or not? Well, really, that's truly under the command. But here in the 9th Mission Support Command, our standing operating procedures is to classify those pieces of equipment temporarily during the initial process as installation property. What we need to get towards is encompassing and accounting for all property under the 9th Mission Support Command first. Second, then we can say what items can and can't go to the field according to mission needs. Things on the organizational side of the house is typically your vehicles, your weapons, your communication devices like radios, your daggers, things that go inside the vehicle, and then you have a different classification, which is like your clothing, which is typically called OCIE from CIF. What you may be asking is, how does installation property pertain to me? Well, Installation property is governed under AR 710-2, but it doesn't speak a whole in detail about it. Therefore, we created the SOP to assist with the guidelines on how installation property and each role is supposed to handle the situation. First, you have the installation commander. He is the responsible officer over all of the installation property. It is his property book. Right now, according to Army regulation, installation property is for the senior commander to have. Currently, in the 9th MSC, is delegated to the TSG. Second, you have the installation property book officer. That installation property book officer keeps the items inside GCSS Army, which is the current method of recording property books and making changes. Center commanders or facility commanders, and you have a facility coordinator. Tenant units and tenant units have users. That's how we separate these categories currently. Let's talk about the facility coordinator. The facility coordinator is basically handpicked and tasked through a memorandum for record by the center commander or facility commander to perform facility coordinating actions. The facility coordinator typically talks to DPW to maintain the building and fix things that have broken. We're working on making sure that the facility coordinator also knows that installation property is a thing for them to manage as well. So what must the facility coordinator do? First, we need to go through an initial inspection with an initial inventory. And then we will maintain operations with biannual inventories. Anything lost or broken, the same thing as DPW. They will allow the IPBO and notify him for any lost or broken equipment. The facility coordinator will maintain a copy of all of the hand receipts throughout the building on a DA 2062. Facility coordinators are basically in charge of the gym equipment as well as the ACFT. The facility coordinator needs to maintain a good relationship with the tenant units. If the tenant unit refuses to do things, they should notify the facility commander. The facility commander will then notify that unit's hire and things will happen appropriately. The facility coordinator will keep a constant check on the unit's DA 2062, which is the hand receipt. The constant check is not every day, nor does it have to be a monthly check, but it is biannual. You already know tenant units are the folks that's inside the building. That's the units. Whoever the unit commander is, or their SSA or UA, or however they call the person that's going to be their full-time staff, okay? That's basically the person who's going to be their representative, representing and talking to the facility coordinator. These people, of course, like we said before, these people up under the unit, whoever that representative, they're going to have to sign their daggone 2062 from the tenant units. Tenant unit is going to sign it from the facility coordinator. Facility coordinator is basically the commander's representative for that area. The facility commander is the highest ranking for that facility. The center commander is the highest ranking. Yeah, he may be TPU and he may be AGR. It doesn't really matter. He's the highest ranking officer that's there. It's him. Wear the hat, wear it proud. Okay? If anything happens, lost or destroyed, then of course notify the facility coordinator or contact me directly. Before I do an inventory, I like to do a little bit of CSDP to figure out how you guys do y'all thing already, to figure out how much I need to teach you extra. So what we're going to be doing is CSDP, which stands for Command Supply Discipline Program. What am I going to be checking for that? I'm going to be checking a lot of stuff. Basically, are y'all doing the right things when it comes to installation property book in the first place? Like, are you putting things on the books when you get stuff. If you're using the charge card, the GPC, the government purchase card, then you should have a record saying what you used it for, but you're also supposed to get the property book officer to interact to make sure the things are supposed to go on the property book or not. Now, the Army regulations does state that items do and are required to go on the property book for a certain amount when you use your government purchase card. All items need to have some kind of receipt or some kind of way to track the accounting for the accountability. What I will be looking at in the CSDP is I'll say, hey, let me see all of your records for FY19. I want to see your records. Let me see your records of using your GPC card, and let me see your GCSS Army hand receipt to see if y'all put any of the stuff on the books that required to be put on the book. So I need to know what you are purchasing. During the CSDP, also, I'll be checking to make sure that if you have a safe that you're trying to require us to keep in installation property, then we're going to make sure that the safe is done correctly. And the safe contents, not necessarily having to look at the actual material. If there's like confidential things that are confidential, I don't need to look at. That's fine. Only thing I need to really look at is the document pertaining to administrative work for that specific safe. What I mean by that is, have the safe been inventoried appropriately using the SF 702s? Is there all the documentation that's inside the safe, making sure that only the certain level of material for the classification is in there, making sure that the users are appropriately put on the inside of the safe, and all kinds of dealings, I guess, with the safe, and making sure the locks are changed and stuff like that. When it comes to another aspect, I'll be looking at key control. When I'll be looking inside of this key control, I'll be looking for several things. I'll be looking to make sure that your book is maintaining how many keys you have, how many keys you're supposed to have, as well as if you're signing them in and out as appropriate as you're supposed to. So once we complete CSDP, we're going to do a walkthrough. With this walkthrough, I'll be looking at a couple things, and it's not that very, elaborate. It's basically making sure that you have all the items inside GCSS Army, to make sure that those are accounted for. If it doesn't appropriately need to be in a GCSS Army system, like for instance your cabinets, chairs, tables, then I'm going to make sure that they're on the 2062. And all items are going to go on the 2062 when it comes to installation property. I'll be looking for your DA 2062s. That is the main thing. That spreadsheet will help me tremendously. You complete that spreadsheet, you basically are making a good friend with the IPBO. When I look at these DA 2062s, when I walk through, I'll be looking to see if they are visibly hanging and if they're signed. To get me out of your hair pretty quick, only thing you do is say, here's your stack of 2062s, and they're all signed. Thank you very much. You really don't have to look around, but I will, because I want to see all these items. What I'll be doing is I'll be using that spreadsheet that y'all use to make those DA 2062s. I'll be looking to see if the serial numbers match, if the quantities are matched, okay? Sometimes you have items like the monitors that don't have serial numbers. Some of them do. Okay, it doesn't require it in the G Army. But what we're going to do on a spreadsheet is we're going to put the serial numbers on there so we don't duplicate count any of those things. Once I'm satisfied with the DA 2062, I'm supposed to go back inside G Army. I'll do a 3161 to that specific sub UIC, which basically generates a hand receipt. Once the initial installation property is complete, we'll push out in 6 months another inventory. So every 6 months, you'll have an inventory. This is a biannual inventory. You can call it whatever you want. I'll be sending you the inventory to complete by the 20th, and I'll be looking for it twice a year, and that's it. Not every month, just twice a year. All right, I'll be sending you a copy of the sub hand receipt. Only thing you need to do is sit down, talk to the tenant units like we discussed before. Say, hey, you guys, give me your DA 2062s so I can make sure that I get everything. Or you can use that spreadsheet that you filled out to figure out where all the items are if you want. You can do it multiple ways, okay? It's up to you how you want to skin the cat after that. The only other change would be is if you have a change of commander, and then you will do inspection for that new commander, so he can account for the items, and he should do it physically. Because you use the spreadsheet, you should know exactly where each of the items are. ACFT equipment is also considered installation property. We are going to acquire the ACFT equipment around the end of March. It depends on if you're inside the island or outside of the island, of which week of March it is going to happen, which is the second to last or the very last week. Currently, the G4, G3, and TSG are all basically trying to plan how exactly this stuff is going to be acquired, stored, and transported, and how the tenant units are going to sign the equipment out. The plan has not been published, so more to follow. All right, let's talk about supply and services under the DOL. Like I said before, I'm MAJ Steward, and I am the Supply and Services OIC, officer in charge. I also have my trusty, dusty, handy buddy, Mr. Erie. Most people talking to him so they can get stuff done. He's been here for several years. He is a previous sergeant major retired from the military service, and you can denote he is Hawaiian, and he's got a box haircut in case you miss him. All right, but he is a civilian by trade. He's a DA employee, so he helps us service members out quite a bit. Of course, this would be denoted me. You can tell by the big, humongous nose. I'm getting tired of making videos for right now, and y'all probably tired of hearing me. So we're going to reconvene this as a part 2 when you go over supply and services.